Good evening, everyone. Today, April 4, 2023, at 6 p.m., we call for order. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Supervisor Leander.
Here.
Clerk Rubeck here. Treasurer Brown.
Here.
Trustee Morocco.
Here.
Trustee Nalamothu. Here. Trustee Ritchie.
Here.
And Trustee Stoyan.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Good. I need a motion to approve the agenda.
Move to approve the agenda as presented.
Could I make a request? Can we move the, what was it, I'm sorry, the brand development services to be discussed after the media relations officer? Our decision on one kind of informs my decision on the other.
You talking about the consent agenda?
No.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought we were approving to proceed as presented on
Yeah, which
all
one
the
did-
agenda items.
Which one did you want to move?
The brand development services to be discussed after the
So it's
media
number
relations
3?
officer.
You want to move number 3?
To number 1?
No, to be discussed after media relations officer.
Which amendment? item?
Number 6.
So move three to,
Three.
move 3 down to 7?
7?
Yeah, if that's okay.
So you want to move 3 into the end, to discuss it in the end?
Oh, close to the end, yeah. Our decision on media relations officer kind of informs my decision on brand development.
I'll support the motion.
I get it. Okay.
So this would be a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
Yes, moving
Second.
item number 3 to follow item number 6.
So 6 will be 3 now?
No,
No?
just move,
Just
just
move.
skip 3 and put it after 6.
So
Yep, just
Trustee
like that.
Stoyan's the second? Did
He-
you second?
Yes, a second, sorry.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Ready for vote?
Okay. All right, motion has made and second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Okay, motion is approved. Moving on. Okay. Board on public announcements. Board members or individuals in the audience may make a statement containing information about a recent upcoming event. Any board members? Claire
I'll
Newick?
start. Clarkston Area Youth Assistance, we celebrate in conjunction with them. The month of April is Blue Pinwheel Month, and that is for prevention for child abuse. The Blue Pinwheels represent the happiness and hopefulness of childhood. They remind us to help the youth feel safe, hopeful, and welcome throughout our community. Small act of kindness can leave a lasting impact, and that's something I think that we all can do. You never know when your small act can be the one that makes a big difference in someone's life. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Any other board members? Any comments? No? Okay. Anyone from the audience? No? Okay, public comments. Anyone would like to make a public comment? Okay. Please state your name and address.
I'm familiar with it now.
Sure. Thank
I'm
you.
Darren Bills, 4890 East Princeton Avenue, and I was here at the last meeting about possibly getting the chicken ordinance discussion on the agenda for this board, and I was just wondering where we're at with that. Is there any headway for possibly getting it on the agenda at some point for this board, or if you guys had discussed it any further at all?
I did follow up that I have to, at this point, I want to wait for the due process. I know that you're going to have something going on in the planning commission. So I'm going to wait until I'm gonna wait for the planning commission at this point.
Okay, so it's just getting sent back to the planning commission for now then?
I'm waiting for the process to go through,
Okay,
okay?
okay. And I was just hoping to get clarification too from Mr. Morocco. At the previous one, you said that if we lower the ordinance change from 3 to 1 acre, it would be impossible or difficult to enforce. And I was just curious why that would be.
Well, there's a lot more 1 acre parcels than 3, and it's gonna cause a lot more problems than it does currently. I would assume that the ordinance was created for a reason. You know, I've corresponded with your wife too about it, that to make it I would never be in favor of making it a right to the residents in the township to have 1 acre, farm animals on 1 acre. If there's a way that somebody can find a way to make it a permitted use, or can make some variance for you guys, that's good, but I think it would be a burden on the unsuspecting residents to have chickens start popping up in neighborhoods all over the township, and I think it would be a problem to enforce the structures, the setbacks, the coops, the smell, the predatory animals, anything that could be a negative impact on an unsuspecting resident is what I'm against. So, not against you doing it, but when you're asking for an ordinance, you're not asking permission for you to do it, you're asking for permission for everyone to do it. And that extends way beyond the limits of your petition or your neighbors being in favor of it, or there's the percentage of people that even follow these meetings or know you're asking for this is probably less than 10% of the community. So
Probably
I have to look at it as a way bigger thing. There's over 35,000 people, and there's I heard at the last count there's 14,000 1-acre lots, or 1,400 of them. So I'm a builder. I know there's a lot of lots that in neighborhoods that are that have 1 acre parcels in them, in a lot of the nice neighborhoods. And you being a good steward of your chickens and keeping them caged and not letting them free range, and if you didn't have a rooster, that's all good things, but someone is going to have to enforce that. We know as a municipality and as a neighbor that not everyone follows the rules. So you're putting a lot of burden on the township by saying that everyone should be allowed to have that unsuspectingly on the rest of the residents. So, the ordinance exists for a reason, in my belief. They didn't used to be a restriction to 3 acres. It was created, and most likely because of the nuisance that it created, or the hassle, or the enforcement. So, that's why I look at it that way.
Okay.
One more thing. I know you sent me an email, I think you and your wife.
My wife
I
probably
intend
did,
to
yeah.
reply the email this week, and I'll give you an update on the
Okay,
email, okay?
Thank you.
I know you sent me an email, and I apologize, I was
Oh, it's okay.
replying an email, but I will reply the email for sure this week.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for responding.
No,
Do I still have
thank you.
time left, or am I out? Am I out of my 5 minutes? I don't know how much.
Oh, no, sure. No,
Oh, okay.
absolutely. You have your 5 minutes.
Um,
No worries.
I understand where you're coming from. I obviously
Yeah.
think that people should have the right to have chickens. I think it'd be great for people to be able to supply for themselves as much as they possibly can. And I don't look at chickens as a nuisance either. I'd never had chickens before this or experience with chickens before this. And I understand a lot of people who haven't had chickens having this stigma in their head. They associate chickens with a farm. And chickens themselves are not a farm. Like we've all been to Cook's Farm Dairy or been to farms, and it stinks. It smells. Chickens themselves do not smell like that. Our 5 chickens combined create 5 ounces of waste a week. Our 2 dogs are about 2 pounds a day. And we can use our chicken waste as fertilizer for a garden. Like the chickens do have uses, and we do let them free range. We have our yard fenced in, so it's not an issue with them getting in our neighbors' yards. And I understand that you think predators would be drawn in towards them too, but I mean, there's thousands of people in Independence Township that have garbage pickup every week. Like predators can get into that. So I mean, if predators also don't become a nuisance because of an abundance of resources, in my opinion, they become a nuisance because of a lack of management. If you don't manage your predators,
Right, and what you're asking is for us to become the managers. That's the problem.
Who manages them now?
We-
Hold on, one second. This is public comments. It's not a forum or debate. I just want to keep it that way. I
Yeah.
give you 5
This
minutes.
is why I
and-
want it
yeah.
on the agenda.
No, I want to go to the process, you see.
Yeah.
When I become a township supervisor, I swear that protect the Constitution and the rules and the regulations and all the laws in the township. I cannot just do whatever I want. But I will reply your email this week for sure.
Okay.
Okay?
All
But
right.
the rule says this is public comments, and
I get it,
I
yeah.
want to keep it that way.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, well, if it's not on the agenda, I'll get my 5 minutes, I guess, in
But
2
they
weeks
already,
again.
you know,
So
yeah.
I'll see you guys
Yeah.
then.
But no, thank you for coming. I do appreciate your coming, and thanks. Thank you. Anyone else? Anyone that would like to address to the board? Any comment, any concerns, any questions? Anyone online that would like to address to the board? For 5 minutes? No? Okay. All right. Now we have a public hearing. Our public hearing, we opened the public hearing at 6:11. It's about our downtown development, authority development, and tax increment financing plan. The first reading by Brian Ockman, but I think it's coming Brian or, Mr. Dick Carlisle, consultant.
I think Brian is celebrating his
Son's birthday.
Oh, I see. Good evening, Mr.
My
Carlisle.
son is old enough that I don't need to celebrate his birthdays anymore. Thank you very much, Mr. Supervisor. This is really a significant occasion here in Independence Township, in that we have essentially taken the steps that we need to reinstitute an existing downtown development authority on Dixie Highway. This board made the decision that they wished to explore and go through the process of doing so, having received legal opinion that our downtown development authority already, continued to exist. The one that was established in 1985 and operated in an amended form until 1995, approximately. And so what I want to do briefly is just provides a little overview of what is in the plan, which is what's before you tonight, for you to have your first reading, and then the ultimate adoption will come after the second reading. So this outlines the Downtown Development Authority district boundaries, and this is exactly as was originally adopted in 1985 and amended in 1991. There's been no additions or deletions or changes to this district. And let me see here if I can, scroll up a little bit. So essentially, it goes along Dixie Highway from the Waterford Township boundary, essentially including the frontage properties that are commercially used and zoned in nature, some multiple family properties such as Lancaster Lakes, North Crest, shopping center at White Lake and Dixie, the Parks of Stonewood property. In 1991, the district was amended to extend down White Lake Road. And part of the reason for this amendment was to allow what you now see as the current alignment of White Lake Road to directly align with Nelsey to the south, which is, of course, again, Waterford. Many of you who have been around for a while will remember that White Lake Road extended straight down on this path and came in at a very awkward angle with Andersonville. So the DDA in the mid-90s was able to realign. So that is the reason, part of the reason, and the extension of utilities down to this area that has long been first an extractive operation in this entire area and later industrial, that is now transformed to more of, still quite industrial, but more of a commercial atmosphere. So the purpose of the DDA is to provide revitalization to a development district that is, this is specifically defines what it is. Okay, Dave, how do I get out of this? My next slide.
Is that IT manager?
Yeah, I need you. I need you.
Want to go to the next one?
Yeah. I don't see where the thing, oh, it's up there.
It's like next to impossible to see. so-
Okay, thanks. Thanks. Okay, so the, in the plan, the overall goal is to improve and encourage the long-term economic viability of the downtown district. Dixie Highway is a traditional commercial corridor of the township. In 1985, the only mechanism we had to allow for improvements and have a funding mechanism was the Downtown Development Authority Act, and we were allowed to use that. Today, probably if we were to start from scratch, we would have used the Corridor Improvement Authority Act because it's a corridor. That's what we did on Sashabar Road with the Corridor Improvement Authority for Sashabar Road, where we've made many of the improvements out here. The goals that are set forth in the plan are to improve the physical environment by expanding upon and completing infrastructure, to promote streetscape improvements that will beautify the area, to enhance the walkability of the corridor, which is atrocious now, and to encourage regular maintenance of all of these improvements. The idea is to make investments, to use targeted public investment of dollars to support private growth, the private growth of investment. And one of the things that we've seen on Dixie Highway, unlike Sashabar Road, is that the recessions that have occurred since the original DDA have not been very kind on Dixie Highway. We haven't had the kind of investment. We have had some, but not like we have seen in other areas of township. And we would like to encourage reinvestment and improvement of properties that will increase property values of a commercial nature in that corridor. We'd also like to use this to retain economically viable businesses so that we can encourage their expansion and allow their ability to exist. We also want to provide a positive and a welcoming image of the corridor and really promote Dixie Highway in a better manner than it currently is being represented. So those are essentially the goals. Boy, Dave, this is really, you're right, this is really hard. Is that it? Oh, you know what? I knew
You gonna sing to us?
Yeah.
Looks like it's got tabs open at the top.
it's hard enough for, thank you. So the specific projects that are envisioned, many of these have been things that have been worked on over a long period of time. Mr. Morocco knows, he's sat on a number of the committees among the Planning Commission, is to try to improve the entryways. We have no entry signages so you don't know when you're coming into our township from the neighboring townships, to try to provide an image for the corridor that will promote economic improvement. But more importantly, we have, essentially, this is a bricks and mortar type of program, to incorporate, to improve, extend, and enhance the safety pass system, which right now in many places is unsafe and downright ugly, where we have these paved shoulders that people are walking on. We've had discussions with the state to allow those to be replaced with modern safety pass. To do traffic safety improvements, we know that White Lake and Dixie is a nightmare for people that have to travel there. It's one of the highest rate accident intersections in our township, if not within the county. We know that there needs to be capacity improvements done there. We also know that the stretch between Andersonville and Maybe Road is a raceway. For many years, we have encouraged the MDOT to work with us to make improvements there to slow traffic down. This will give us the means to be able to pursue those. Access management is part of that, where you control the number of access ways onto the highway and turning movements, which is a big problem. We have areas, believe it or not, on Dixie Highway that are lacking in sewer and water that need to be, those gaps need to be filled in, which will benefit, property owners and residential property owners that are along the highway, as well as, I don't believe we have any gaps down White Lake Road. I think we're fine down there, aren't we, Dave? But it's predominantly along Dixie Highway. There may be the need for some property and easement acquisition to be able to implement these things. But essentially, as you can see, and I want to emphasize that while we estimate $12 million worth of improvements, this is not going to all come from tax increment financing, which is the main source of DDA financing. There'll be other sources of funding, just as we've done with the Sashabaw Corridor and Improvement Authority, to leverage other sources of funding. There may be some township funds, like safety path funds. There may be some water and sewer funds where we match to be able to move a project up on the list. There may be state or federal funds. Now, one of the questions that Brian tells me that he has received from members of the public that have inquired about this is, will this result in an increase in taxes? The answer to that is no. It did not in 1985. Our Sashabaw Corridor Improvement Authority did not. What this does is allow us to capture tax dollars from a variety of sources, which include Oakland County, Oakland Community College, HCMA, excuse me, in addition to township taxes, and allow those dollars that we capture to be devoted directly into the investment of Dixie Highway. In other words, every tax increment dollar that we capture has to go back in to investment in the Dixie White Lake Road Downtown Development Authority. So that means infrastructure improvements, beautification, pathways. This is a means to be able to use the tax dollars that we are currently exporting elsewhere to be used and brought back in to our township to invest in this corridor. Now, the question might be, well, what's in it for the other taxing jurisdictions? Well, ultimately, as we've proven in Sashabaw Road, that we've increased the value, the taxable value in that corridor, so that long-term, all of the taxing jurisdictions, including the township, benefit from that incremental increase in value as a result of public investment in infrastructure. So that's in essence, the concept behind the entire thing. We have a new board, the Downtown Development Authority Board, who recommended to you unanimously that you approve this plan. We had a Citizens Advisory Council assisting that board, who sat in on 2 joint meetings, reviewed the plan, and made the motion to approve the plan. And this is the stage that we are now at, with the board having the first reading for the approval of the plan.
Thank you.
Okay?
Any questions, any comments from board members? Sure. Anyone from the public? Please come to the podium, state your name and address.
My name is Linda Mishler. The address I'm going to use is that of Clarkston Village Players, which is 4861 White Lake Road. My concern is that he mentioned that there were just a few gaps here and there along Dixie Highway of sewer and water. Clarkston Village Players on White Lake Road is one of them. We have a well, we have no sewer, and that would be a big benefit to us to be able to get onto that. So my first concern when I first heard about this was if you're going to widen the road, we haven't got a whole lot of parking lot to deal with now, and I was concerned that that would really shorten our parking space. So to have this just be the tax increment and for improvements in walkability and that sort of thing, I'm all on board with that. But I would also like to get on record that we too would like to be part of the water and sewer upgrade if that's what's part of this plan. Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
Treasurer Brown?
Sam, I don't think there's any plans to widen White Lake Road. It would not include that, because certainly we know how close you are to the road there. That would not work, and I don't think there's any plans for that, right, Dick? No plans to widen the road.
And Brian assured me of that too when I came to talk to you about it, so thank you.
Anyone else from the public? Please, come to the podium, state your name and address.
Yeah, my name is Richard Paul, 5534 North Crest Court. My question is, I ride my bike around and these roads are horrible. Is that going to help any of these roads when I ride? Because I mean, I'm talking bad roads. I almost flip off. So that's my first question. Second question, when you say investment, are we talking big businesses coming in, big malls and stuff like that coming in, or what does that mean? Is my question.
Yeah.
I think in terms of non-motorized improvements, I think we have the ability to make a wide range of improvements, but I think the priority is with our safety pass system. And that's where along Dixie Highway, there's real problems. You probably are aware, I mean, the paved shoulders that were done in the late 80s, early 90s when Dixie Highway was widened. And unfortunately, they became construed as not paved shoulders, but as pathways, and they've been a disaster. We'd like to get rid of those and replace those with the kind of pathways that you see up and down around here. There's a lot of opportunities, and Mr. McKee, who's the DPW director, has already been pursuing grant funding to do exactly those kinds of things. So that would be the primary priority with non-motorized transportation. What was the second question?
Whether there's going to be like big malls.
Oh,
things
yeah.
like that.
Well, the thing is we don't have that much property, additional vacant property along Dixie Highway to develop. And I think essentially what you see is the development pattern of what, the only vacant properties that we have is the back part at the corner of White Lake and Dixie, where the medical building is, and the Sunrise, well, I don't know if it's called Sunrise, I mean, it's changed names several times. That's not planned for anything other than residential development. And so consequently, I don't really think, but what we hope to see happen is some of these more marginal properties that you see along Dixie Highway, that we can make enough improvements to stimulate the interest in reinvestment in those properties, so that, look at the big boy. It's been vacant for how many years now?
So, and Dick, just to clarify, when he says reinvestment, he means by the property owners
Yeah.
themselves.
By the property owner.
So we're gonna
I
do a
mean,
little work, but then that can spur the people that own the commercial areas to make improvements to their own building and participate that
Right.
way.
And mind you, when we did the Sashabar Road CIA, we were able to get private contribution to some of the public improvements that occurred along Sashabar Road. And so this will also be part. Now, one of the things I want to caution everybody is you're not going to see changes next year. This is a marathon. It's not a sprint. Even more so with the Dixie Highway than a Sashabar Road. I mean, Sashabar Road was pretty much of a greenfield slate. It was pretty much of a blank slate when we started out in the mid-90s, even before the Corridor Improvement Authority was formed. We were able to plan everything on Sashabar Road from the ground up. Some say with some success, some say is, with some question, but, you know, Dixie Highway is a developed corridor, and so it's gonna be slow and long. But one of the things I've admired about this township over the years that I've worked with you is you stick to your plans. Takes you some time, but you stick with it. And so, you know, having a funding mechanism to be able to attract other funding, both public and private, is really a key to be able to reinvent a corridor like Dixie Highway.
Any other questions? Okay. Please state your name and address.
Thank you. My name is Mark Moreno, 5581 North Crest Village Drive. Several questions I have. First is with respect to market data and research. You stated that you're looking to spur private growth investment. What kind of data, kind of research and data do you have to support that statement? What have the current businesses identified, if they're willing to make those investments that you're citing after the improvements are made? What data do you have with respect to retention of existing businesses and their viability of sticking around? You've identified many other sources, and that this will not come from taxpayer dollars, residents' dollar, taxes. I don't see any of that here. That's something that should be in writing beyond the budget, I think. Additional sources that you identified, is one of them was OCC. That's going away in 3 years. So if that's going away, there's no money coming from OCC. So I'm questioning the sources of that you've identified, and would like to see that clearly spelled out and in writing.
So with Karen Joliet in the back too. You can maybe speak
Just
to
letting
some
you
of
go
that.
now, Jose?
What?
Just letting
Okay.
you wanted to go.
You would like to come? Thanks.
Hello. My name is Carolyn Bush. I live at 6925 West Church Street, and I'm looking at a presentation up there regarding traffic safety improvements that will not start until 2030. And I've lived in my home since 1987, and I do live near the intersection of Dixie Highway and White Lake Road. And it is a very dangerous intersection as it stands right now. Even after it had been improved the last time, it is very dangerous. You cannot see oncoming traffic. And I'm just curious, with the traffic safety improvements, that intersection is dangerous today and has been. Are we gonna have to wait until 2030 to see that intersection improved if this proposed development goes forward?
I can comment on that.
Okay.
So I think there's two different components here, and Dick, you can correct me if I'm mistaken, to make sure I understand what we're doing correctly. Our safety improvements would involve changes to things like how many entrances there are along the corridor into businesses where they may share driveways instead of having so many driveways. Large improvements to intersection is really gonna be done by the county, the road commission. So, and that would cost millions of dollars. We think that's important too, but it's not gonna be something that's tied
As
directly
part
to
of
the
this.
DDA. No.
Okay, all
Is that
right.
about right, Dick?
Except we might be able to use some TIF dollars to leverage or encourage the county to move an improvement up on their project.
Okay.
I would highly recommend it, please,
Thank you.
if that can be done. Highly recommend it. Thank you.
Sure.
Well,
Thank you.
if I say something.
Sure. So,
I just like to assure some of the people now, because the citizens what's it called? The citizens advisory board has to live in the district. The people that sit on that board that oversee the DDA board, so that it has checks and balances from the actual residents. Most of the people on that board live in Parks of Stonewood, because that's one of the bigger housing developments in the district, and those are the people that happen to all volunteer and get together and want to be part of it. When we put the word out, we were looking for residents that lived in the district. I can assure you that if there was the most emphasized topics of our meetings when we talked about future improvements, and this is a wish list of all sorts of things, and we left it vague for a reason, so we would have the flexibility to do all these things. And the dates are just random target dates because of the size of the project. But I can tell you that the board itself and the Citizens Advisory Board overseeing the board, the infrastructure improvements to that intersection, because of how dangerous it is it was the top priority of discussion at every meeting so far. So if that helps, that it's definitely on the radar, that situation. So.
It's also the highest budgeted item on your list, too.
Right.
Mr. Supervisor, I don't
Yes.
think we really responded to the one gentleman's question, and the answer is, have we done market studies over a long period of time? The answer to that is yes. Have we consulted experts in the real estate and development fields? The answer to that is yes. Have we done everything in an exhaustive manner that we possibly can? The answer to that is no. And that's part of the role of the DDA. The DDA will be, now that it's established, has the ability to also do more, in-depth evaluations of specific market data that they need, that may need to make decisions. However, I will say that the market data that does exist and that we have evaluated on behalf of the township shows that we are exporting dollars elsewhere in terms of the retail market along Dixie Highway. In other words, we're sending more dollars elsewhere than we're actually spending in the corridor to support the retail market there that exists. But the other key point about this is that we have an established pattern of land use there that is already commercial. If we don't make investments, will it continue to deteriorate? Will we continue to have vacancies? Will it not? Will we be able to solve these traffic problems that are contributing to some of the difficulty that some businesses have? Will we continue to have vacant buildings? It's quite possible. So I think this is a wise use of public resources to be able to address some of these problems. One of the things that Mr. McKee reminded me of is the other tax that probably many folks here might not have supported is we're able to capture the transit tax. And capturing that, we'll be able to reinvest that in the corridor and use it for things other than necessarily transit. We can use it for transportation, of course. I know that's not an exhaustive answer, but in the last 15 years, the supervisor's offices and the planning commission have made evaluations of Dixie Highway, I think on at least 3 different occasions. Mr. Morocco can speak to that. And everything that we identify are all things that we are also being told by economic development officials from the county, from real estate people, from our chamber, from business owners, that investments in infrastructure will encourage private investment. And we've certainly found that, but it's a different circumstance, on Sashabar Road, so.
Yes.
And the one other item that he mentioned was OCC. And even though they're closing their Highland Lakes campus, their millage is still on our tax bill. So we still are paying that in our taxes. And we're able to capture a part of that and keep it here, even though they're closing that campus.
But they still have their other campus.
Yes, they're still running and still have that millage on the taxes.
Right.
All right. Actually, it's more funding than that. After the transit millage after pass. We met with the county, and they says that part of that is also that DDAs in Oakland County will be able to actually get something out of the transit millage. So it's more funding, and besides some of the other. Oh, please, sure, absolutely. State your name and address, please.
Okay, my name is Richard Southern, and my address is 5750 White Lake Road. I have a 6-acre parcel in the
Sure.
area.
Oh.
I wanted to say I very much support your looking into it. I support the Citizens Advisory Council and the DDA.
Thank you.
We've always known along White Lake, I've been there about 40 years, so we've always known along White Lake that we were probably the last development corridor. But when that comes forward, it's fair to understand most of White Lake has a passing lane, but there are 2 or 3 gaps in there where there's no passing lane, and they create real bottlenecks. So when that's fixed, a lot of other things get fixed with it. And Carolyn is absolutely right. The intersection needs work. But there are a couple things that could be done very easily there. A simple sign coming out of the shopping center saying you can't turn left on high traffic times of the day. And a simple warning sign on the far side that says possibly you could have influx from the shopping center onto that street would probably eliminate 2 accidents a month. And that's maybe 400 feet from the intersection, and the signs are, what, $500 a piece, so. But we support very much what you're doing and wish to see it continue. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for your service, sir.
Long time ago.
Okay. Anyone else from the public would like to make a comment or any questions? No? Okay. Anyone online? Anyone online that would like to address any questions, concerns for the DDA? All right, I will close the hearing at 6:42. Okay, now we have, moving on, we have presentations and reports.
Ready to make a motion?
We need to make a
Oh,
motion.
we need to make a motion, right? Sorry.
No,
No,
don't make a
no,
motion.
because it's in the agenda,
Oh,
right?
I'm
This is-
sorry.
Yes.
I probably scrolled down too
Thanks,
far.
Terry, right, yeah.
That's okay.
Oh, it comes up later.
Okay. Hey, Nancy, good evening. We have a presentation for the 4-day work week.
Is this just going to automatically change, or?
Oh,
Yes, I believe it will.
yes.
Oh, that was me. Okay. Do you see one that says PowerPoint?
No, those are all
PDFs.
PDFs. You can just close that whole thing.
Can I
It'd be
close
easier
it?
to look
No.
over there.
No.
Someone
Yeah,
else
this
is
one
gonna
gets cut
say?
off up there.
Why can't we close it?
Go there. Where's that?
That's PowerPoint, yeah.
There we go. I need new glasses.
There we go.
All right, so I'm going to do an overview of the survey that was conducted. I believe the board is aware that they were considering within the township a 4-day work week and wanted to get an understanding of what the employees felt about that, as well as the department leaders within the township. And so a survey was sent out. As a result of that, the response, first of all, was overwhelming. We had a very, very high response rate. 57 different employees took the time to respond, which is a high percentage. It's well above what would be considered good in a survey response. And they were overwhelmingly in favor of moving to a 4-day work week. As you can see up here on the screen, 82% of employees were interested in making that move. most importantly, you want to make sure if we're making this change that service levels remain the same. Proof is in the pudding, obviously, but walking into it, the employees feel like they're going to be able to accomplish their task by continuing a 40-hour work week over 4 days versus 5 and maintain the appropriate level of service and completing their job and meeting performance expectations. When we talked about what day off would work best within the schedules, or what do you think would be work best for the resident schedules, Friday was overwhelmingly the picked day to close the township down. So if we moved to this structure, then the response shows that Friday would be the preferred day to have a closure. Would you rather come to work earlier or stay later? When we're talking about how do we keep the 40-hour work week going, again, overwhelmingly, most folks wanted to come in earlier in the day as opposed to extending it out into the evening. Preferred start times were 7 a.m. And if you looked at when people actually wanted to work, this is going to show you how it broke down. So the majority, overwhelming 75%, wanted to start at 7 a.m. Other folks wanted to bump it up a little bit and have it at 14%. 8 a.m. is the current start time, so you had a really small number that were saying just keep it the same, which is really kind of significant, that only a handful of folks were saying just leave it as is. We talked about how late things should be open, and again, we're not looking to stay late. The employees are saying, yeah, let's keep things open so that people can do their business, but let's try to get it closed up by about 6 o'clock. The next level then obviously being 6:30 and 7. Making a move like this, we have to have give people time to adjust, childcare, change their schedules, work out things with their spouses, all of those things. We gave folks a broad range of time, and the majority said, give me 2 weeks and I can make it happen. So over 70%, we're looking at a 2-week notice period in order to transition. We also asked, hey, what would you like your schedule to be when we move this? Overwhelmingly, everybody picked, well, not everybody, but 82% picked 7 a.m. to 5:30. The next one, though, you'll see talks about 7:30 to 6. So what that tells us is that we have a 7 a.m. to 6 p.m., and we had rotating or adjusted start times, meaning some folks come in at 7:30, some people come in at 7. You're going to get a broad range of coverage. It's still going to meet the needs of what the employees are asking for in this change. So that was just an overview. Along with the employee survey results, we also sent out a workbook to all of the department directors who took the time to complete a similar set of survey from an overall perspective. How is this going to impact my department? What do I have to look out for? The 4-day work week was unanimously supported by the responding directors. They felt like they would be able to work. They would ask for, and the employees echoed this, in a move to this, they are looking for guidance on policies. How is this going to affect things like accumulating and taking paid time off? And then how are we going to continue to, obviously a big one was, let's make sure that we're open late enough for residents to still get in and get their business done and take care of that. So those were the overall sweeping results of the survey. And if you have any specific questions, I can try to answer those for you.
Any questions from board members?
I don't have a question, but I do have an issue with, I'm still struggling with the half-hour lunch thing. I just think that's a farce. I just don't think you can have a half-hour lunch and expect that to work for people. So that's my only struggle. When they said they wanted to work 7 to 6, I'm okay with that, but I know people won't like the idea, but I think that the loss of a day, having that extra hour at night for people to try to get here would be worth it. I think that I don't want to feel like we're not getting a full 40 hours a week out of people by saying there's a half-hour lunch. I know from business that's a tough thing to do, and I don't want people to feel like they're getting cheated by it, in any way. So I'm confident that that we could remain the services we need, but like for people that I've talked to, being open later so you can make it in time, even if the door's locking, you're in, you can conduct business, opposed to possible risk of coming in early and being tied up and not, and having to leave before your business is done to ensure you can get to work if you have a far commute, can work in the opposite direction. So and for the massive amount of flexibility that that's what I'd be in the most favor of, I would say is that, just my opinion.
Treasurer Brown?
So, I always look at stuff and want to look at numbers, so, I picked a month, August of last year, and I look at all the data related to folks coming into the treasurer's office. That's gonna cover people coming in to pay water and sewer bills, to pay taxes. Picking August ensured I had a pretty good selection of folks paying their summer tax bills, water and sewer bills. We handle anyone who's got building permits, has to come and pay for those. We excluded all the data related to electronic payments where they weren't actually in the building. And so it was interesting what I found, and so based on day of the week for August, we had approximately 500 transactions on Mondays, and it was a steady decline down to Friday. Every day went lower and lower, and Fridays had about 170 for the whole month of August. So Fridays are, without question, a slow day at the township. And so I think the numbers bear that out. I've asked a couple other department heads to run those same numbers relative to their transactions, and they're doing that just to look at that. But it wouldn't surprise me to see the same thing. I know I spent 8 years here, and I know Fridays is pretty quiet in town hall, so.
To that point, the directors were, that was included in part of their workbook, and getting down to the actual data and the numbers, they'll be able to dive back in. But they were asked, what are your busy seasons, what are your busiest days, so that we can make sure that as a plan is developed to try out, it meets the needs of services, most importantly. That's a critical point.
True. Trustee Nalamatu?
I agree with Sam's comments. I think it is going to be harder for people to come at 7 a.m. and expect to get out on time if they have somewhere else to be, as opposed to coming later. Not everyone can, get their kids out the door. They might come and conduct business once their kids are in school, or you can certainly bring them with you afterwards, but you're not going to bring your kid at 7 assuming they might be late getting where they need to go. So I'd prefer the 7 to 6 as well. I think that 5 to 6 is just fair to everybody who lives here to be able to come after their job and try and get here on time if we're going to be giving them a full day or taking away a full day that they can come in and take care of things.
For making comments, I'll make a comment. I don't have any
Ron,
question,
you
but.
want to make a?
Comment?
Oh, sure.
Comment, yeah, just, I think obviously, I think the employees will view a 4-day work week as positive, but our main concern is really, are we taking care of the township residents and business, during that same time frame? So to me, we need more investigation on not necessarily what the employees want, but how are we taking care of the township business on a day-to-day basis? And I agree that the 7 to 6 number to me sounds like the right number as far as if we're gonna open early and stay late, and whether that's done with half-hour lunches or 1-hour lunches or staggered times or whatever. But those things still need to be worked out. But I guess I still haven't heard how we're taking care of the residents and the business of the township on that one day we're off. Obviously, everybody thought Monday was or Friday was a good day to take off. I guess in my mind, part of what we have is you look at your holidays throughout the year. Most of those are on Mondays, so we're already closed on Friday now. So now you got 6-8 holidays that might happen on that Monday as well. So those many weeks that you're going to be open 3 days a week. So how do we handle those things? And that, to me, that's just part of what I think we need to have more investigation and look at how we handle those things. So.
Good point, Ron, and I have to agree with you. You bring in a valid point, and I know Treasurer Brown you met with some of the directors and addressed some of those questions, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. One of the questions that came to me was about the senior center. It's gonna be open 5 days, or it's gonna be open 4 days, and that maybe came upset. But I was told that the senior center is still gonna be working it's gonna be open for 5 days, so that won't affect our seniors, so that's a good thing. So it's our parks. Our parks is gonna be the same. It's not gonna change anything, which is a very good thing. And my concern is the same concerns. I mean, we wanna keep the quality of services for sure, because we don't wanna, make a change that's gonna have a negative impact. Those questions were already asked to our directors, and so far, our directors are okay with that. So, Trustee Morocco.
I think that also Dave Moran, the building official, has also reiterated that they're going to find a way to, I expressed my concerns about the 4-day week because I build in townships that have that, and it can really set a job back and throw the schedule off of lots of trades that have been lined up for a long time. So there's been talk to make sure that service, we do outsource some of our inspectors, so they wouldn't be privy to this plan, so they would still be available on Fridays, but again, that would be something, that service of the inspections would be something that they'd have to work out too, to be able to keep that going for people. So I don't think it's gonna be able to be township-wide, just, I guess that we don't really know exactly how many participants can participate and keep everything open, like the senior center and things that just, those services that need to remain. So that would be, I don't know if you got into it that far yet.
So that level of it has not been done. This was an update to let you know the conversation is ongoing and that it is being well received by the employees. The information that's been gathered will be taken by the Employee Benefits Advisory Committee, along with, the department directors and everyone else. And they will have an opportunity then to put together a more robust plan that takes and factors in all of these considerations and lays out something that can be, fully vetted. But the purpose of this was to just make sure that you knew that the conversation is continuing, folks are interested, and so the idea is to continue the conversation to see what we can make happen.
I think it's important to note too that we're looking at this as a trial run, or, a 6-month trial to see, are we meeting the needs? The public says, I can't get in the hours that you're speaking, and that this is not available for, it's not advantageous for them. Then that's what we're here for, is we are a service organization, and we're servicing our residents. So that is on the forefront, the front of our minds. But we do not want to cut the services whatsoever. I do think that the employees, we have very hardworking employees that stay now, come in earlier now, and stay later now, and get the job done. I think we have very dedicated staff, but I think it'd be interesting as we move forward, and there are a lot of questions that we do still have as board members and directors, and even the employees on how it will work with the different facets. Another department that is of the township is the sheriff's department. We have one employee that works for the sheriff's department. They will be excluded. That person works alone, so there's not a replacement for that person. So I've spoken to the lieutenant of the substation as well, and they had concerns. The employee doesn't want to change, neither does the substation. They have to have somebody that responds, Monday through Friday. So I think that would be another department that's excluded from the study. But be anxious to hear what the non-union comes of their meeting this week, and probably future meetings with the unions, the other IWA union. So,
Trustee Ritchie.
I guess just on that, what Carrie expressed there, I guess, to me at some point in time, I think one of the next steps would be, after everybody does some more research and everything, is maybe have a workshop and talk about, how we'd handle every department, and who, how it would take place before we try to move forward with any motion to move to that. So, but, to me, I think we just need a broader understanding, at least as a board member. I just feel it needs to be more laid out on how we're going to handle those things, to make sure we're not only covering all the employees, but covering the citizens as well. So.
Sure, I believe that's a very good point. Can we do something like this, a workshop or something? I think it's a good idea.
Well, you might need to get some more groundwork from all the directors and everything on how they're planning to handle that. But.
Yeah. Yes, Trustee Brown. Trustee Brown.
That's fine. Just a suggestion is, Supervisor Aliaga, if you could reach out to the supervisor in Commerce Township. Commerce Township's on a 4-day week. They're very similar to us in size. In fact, of all the communities we saw that are doing this, and there were quite a few, that one really is the closest to us in the population, taxable value, those areas. Possibly you could, they might agree to have you come down, and maybe Trustee Nalamuth and Trustee Ritchie could go down with you and talk to them and get some input from them if you guys would be interested in doing that with them.
We can do that, yeah.
Because talking to somebody that's already done it's really the best way to get to understanding how it works.
What the hiccups were and how they.
We can do that.
Great.
Okay, we can follow up. If you shoot me an email with what the dates you guys are available, couple of days, I will make it happen.
Sure.
Okay? Right, any other questions, concerns? No? Anyone from the public? No? Anyone online?
Thank you, Nancy.
Thank you, Nancy. Moving along, consent agenda. Request to approve the Board of Trustees regular meeting minutes on March 21st, 2023. And second, request to approve the March 28th, 2023 check run for $672,560 and ratify the March 17, 2023 payroll was $313,082.61 and March 2023 EFT activity of $99,829.70. And three, request to adopt a resolution to participate in opioid settlement to Teva, Argent, CVS, and Walmart. All right? And that's the consent agenda. I need a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. We don't have nothing, any item removed from the consent agenda, so we go to regular business. And we have actually the request to approve the first reading for the Downtown Development Authority Development Tax Increment Finance Plan by Mr. Carlisle. Okay, would you, I guess you already,
Well, I believe you have a motion in front of you to approve.
Do we still need this PowerPoint open?
Oh, I don't know where that.
You hit the escape key or?
come on, Dave.
That's good, leave it like.
IT manager,
I
good
can
there.
see people online who might be raising their
He's
hand.
gonna want to raise.
I heard people blinking like they were beeping like maybe someone was trying to get on.
We're gonna go to Teams.
I don't think we're using this anymore, are we?
Yeah, they're
Unless there was
using it
somebody
for
online.
Public.
I don't, well, for the public, I just don't see them and I just
You
want
have
to
to
make
go
sure.
to Teams to
Yeah,
get on there.
they're gonna, the
There you go.
IT guy will do
In
it.
case somebody was raising their hand or
Mandate.
something.
He's a good man. There's so few of them around.
Yes.
You have a motion in front of you to approve at first reading the Downtown Development Plan that's been recommended to you by the Downtown Development Authority Board and the Citizen Advisory Committee. Does the board have any questions at this point?
No?
No questions, I'm
Just
excited. It's long overdue. We tried to do this in 2006 to do something with the corridor. I think it's great that Dick, that you guys figured out that we're grandfathered in to capture more money and that kept alive. That's gonna make a huge difference for the township. We're already seeing some redevelopment with the bowling alley property, so that's gonna be big. So I'm excited about it. It's long overdue, and I think that the board and the residents we have and the business owners that are participating is huge, because they're all the players and they've all got skin in the game. So I think they're gonna do a good job of getting the best deal we can for the corridor. So I'm ready to make a motion. I move to approve the introduction and first reading of the Downtown Development Authority Development Plan and Tax Increment Financing Plan and schedule the second reading on the next available Board of Trustees regular meeting following the required publications.
Second. Okay, there's a roll call though.
Okay.
So, motion has made and second, and,
You ready?
yeah.
Clerk Newbeck, yes. Treasurer Brown?
Yes?
Trustee Morocco?
Yes.
Trustee Nalamothu?
Yes.
Trustee Ritchie?
Yes.
Trustee Stoyan?
Yes.
And Supervisor Aliaga.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sure.
Thanks, Dave.
Now, moving on, we have the request to approve the 2023 Budget Amendment 13, 2023, the seasonal employee hiring and compensation by DPW Director Dave McKee and our Parks and Rec Director Derek Smith.
Good evening, everyone. I'm going to start off here. So this is kind of a little bit of a rewind. So it's just to refresh the new board member, refresh the board's memory on this. In April of 2021, Derek and I came to the board to request that the part-time and seasonal wages be increased from $12 max to $15 an hour maximum. Our hope was that it was going to spur some more interest in our part-time positions that we have. As you know, that we hire a boatload of people for seasonal help, particularly parks and recreation. You know, DPW, safety path, we get a handful ourselves, plus other parts of the township. We haven't seen the increase in interest that we were hoping for when we raised it to $15. I can't say that we haven't. It hasn't helped us retain some of the few people that do come back, but we're looking to raise the rate to a maximum of 17.25. To again, we need to be a little bit above average on this to be competitive in the market, because apparently there's not many part-time workers who want to work, and we're just not bringing anything in. We're not just bringing any applicants in. I can only speak for myself right now, but for the positions that I have open, we have one. We've seen one candidate. Derek's, I think you're probably in the same boat as far as, so he's at a goose egg there. So we're trying to spur some interest in our part-time positions. Every community and every municipality in Southeast Michigan who does this we're all fighting for the same people. And I think that we're the better place to work at, honestly. You know, our facilities and our amenities are who wouldn't want to work here? You know, we all enjoy it. So we're hoping that the board's agreeing with us. We ran it through Rick with the financing. He does have a budget amendment in here, but we would like to point out that even when we were fully staffed, we have staff come and go. They leave early in August, so we don't even really have staff through the whole year, but we budget for the whole year. So talking with Rick on this, so there is a budget amendment. He just wants to make sure that we are funded for the whole time period that we can have part-time or seasonal help with us at this new rate. Chances are, and if Rick was here, I think he would agree with me wholeheartedly that we won't come close to it, even if we get a full amount of staff, but we want to make sure that we do have our bases covered on that. So the request is to have our part-time and our seasonal wages be raised to $17.25 maximum at the discretion of the department heads. We're just not going to bump everybody up. We want to make sure that it's it's appropriate. If we have somebody that deserves more, we start somebody out, and we can give them incentive to come back. So that's really it in a nutshell. Derek, do you have anything that you want to add?
Yeah, I wanted to add one thing. We need to start, we had a director's summit at the MParks conference here last month, and all of us in our field are really struggling with this manual labor maintenance positions in our parks. People are starting to get really creative with it, so I think the pay increase is kind of necessary, one, but two, some of the other suggestions and other things municipalities are doing. And it was funny to hear it because they did this with me when I worked on Mackinac Island back in 1996. And that is, you could, if you set a date that you work from Memorial Day to Labor Day as a part-time, or let's say the 6 months for a seasonal employee, if you give them like a quarter stipend to stay the entire summer, and you give them a quarter per hour worked, that they have to fulfill their contract as an employee to work that 6 months. And if they fulfill their obligation for the 6 months, we give them a bonus check at the end of the summer or the end of their employment. So that way, if they get halfway through the summer and they get a better job opportunity, or maybe something better comes up, or they want to leave to go back to school, whatever the case might be, if they stay and fulfill that contractual obligation at the end of the summer, we can give them a bonus stipend for every hour they work for the entire summer. I thought that was pretty creative, because I missed my first week of classes at college my senior year when I went back, because I bartended on Mackinac Island, but I wanted to stay through Labor Day weekend to get my bonus check. And that was an incentive for me to catch the last ferry off the island, you know, to go back to school. But I got a nice check on my way out the door. So that's another thing. There's a lot of creative ways we can look at this. But right now, you know, we have 3 kids coming back from college that we get in May. But this April timeframe from now until they come back from college in May, I don't have one applicant at this point. So, you know, you see the signs, and we joke about it at Taco Bell and a lot of the fast food places. They're hiring people to come through the door at $15-16 an hour. And it's sad to think that we have to compete for these manual labor jobs at $15 an hour with the local fast food restaurants. We just can't seem to get people interested to come in to put in a hard day's work. And honestly, they're really not that hard. The trap that we have is, and generationally, I've got a lot of 14, 15, 16, and 17-year-olds that want jobs, but we can't employ them because they can't operate gas-powered motors. So you have to be over 18. I think we talked about this last year when we went through this exercise, but because of, you know, OSHA, my OSHA rules and these sorts of things, we can get kids to line ball fields, plant flowers, and pick up trash. But the jobs that we need, people sitting on mowers, running weed whippers, driving gators, anything with a motor on it, they can't touch until they become 18. So it eliminates a lot of those younger kids that want jobs. So I think this is a good opportunity to give us the flexibility, even for returning staff. If I bring them in at 15 and they come back to me summer after summer, it gives me a little bit of incentive to give them to say, hey, if you come back next year, I can give you a 50-cent raise, or I can give you $1 raise if you really work out. It just gives us a little more flexibility in the retainment side too. So, just some thoughts.
Supervisor?
Yes. Trustee Moran.
Question. So how often do they get a raise when they're working in the summer? Is it a flat rate for the summer?
It is.
So what we started doing was, when I hire a guy, because now if a laborer sweeping a floor wants $20 an hour, you know.
How much?
$20 an hour.
$98.
I mean, I'm not talking kids, but if you're a grown man with no career and you're looking for a job, that's what they want to start. But so what I've been doing is I start them off, like, say, at $15 an hour, and if you make it 30 days, you get $1 an hour raise. That, not 10 cents, not a quarter, a significant amount of money. And that's what I was wondering, if you guys do something like that, because that would keep them too. But just the fact to get them to stay long enough to learn what you're training them to do is the problem. You know, you keep them 2-3 weeks and then they quit, you just wasted 3 weeks of training. You know, so I don't know if there was any incentive in the process. If we do this increase, could you start them at 15 and then, you know, and then have that ability to promote through the summer, you know, as an incentive?
Yeah, I can say, I can tell you, I've done that before. It's not like, you know, you hire in and here's your wage and that's it. You know, if you get somebody that's a superstar, really is really putting it out for you, we do have that flexibility. And I think we both used that in the past, Sam, to be honest with you. But it's, you know, we hit that ceiling, and then right away it's like, well, I'm leaving because I'm going to do the same thing for this guy down the road. He's going to pay me $2 more an hour, and we lose him right there. You know?
So are you planning on starting them at 15 and then having that flexibility to retain? Is that the idea, or do you want to advertise at the higher rate and then they're locked in at that rate and that's the cap?
Depends on the position for me.
Yeah.
So you say like advertise between 15 and 17.50 an hour, depending on what you do, you know, or something like
It's
that?
like, yeah, it's, I have, you know, a couple, person that comes back that I would take to the top right now, because they've committed, they've come back year after year after year, and,
Right, for
and
sure,
they're a
they deserve
valuable
to be
person.
paid more,
They're
and
a
they've already been
valuable person.
trained, so they're more
Incentive wise
valuable.
is, yeah, we can definitely do that. We've done that in the past with seasonal help. It's very hard to get people to just apply and to find people. We wish wish it was 17, I'll be honest with you. You know, if we had 17, you know, we could probably tap the high schools and, that gap year or whatever, you know, right after somebody that graduates at 17, we could get them in here and they could make a couple bucks before they go off to college, which would be great. And they might come back.
Just to give you an idea where we are too, we have a full-time labor position open in my department in our park division right now. So it's the lowest end of our union pay scale at maybe 20, 21 bucks an hour with a pension. And we can't even get people to apply for that. So that's where we are in the job market right now is, I mean, this is the third time we've shopped this full-time park position at that low end of the labor scale, and we're not, the candidates that we do get, we hired 2 of them and they no call, no showed on their first day. So they found something better before they even showed up for their first day of work. So it's kind of what we're up against right now is, you know, in the $17 an hour, we're getting close to the bottom end of that union labor scale too. I mean, I think our lowest position is 1781, and that's our van
That was
driver
gonna be
position
my
at the senior
comment.
center. And the new van driver we hired, we had to bump that position up to van driver 2 just to get somebody in the door. So that's just something that I think you should be aware of is where we are with our pay scales relative to our competitors. We're not being competitive in the marketplace right now, so.
And I'll say that it's not even just the pay scale, but on top of that, it's just people's willingness to work. And for the last
There's a
few
lot of
years-
that, you know, I mean, but we're hoping that, you know, with advertising somehow, we have our new HR director I'm really gonna reach out to, and I believe she probably has some, you know, she's been doing it a long time, so, you know, get some ideas on how we can get that message out even better. You know, recruitment techniques, I guess, you know, we put it on the township webpage, and I remember back, a long time ago, we used to actually just put it in the Oakland Press, but, you know, those days are over.
I don't know that
So,
15-year-olds read the paper, no.
it's social media to get that word out there, you know, Indeed is, you know, you're gonna get 1 million applicants on that, and that's, you know,
They don't show up.
you're not
for
getting
interviews.
anybody, you know.
We even try to go to the local job fairs too. I
Yeah.
know we've got one lined up here in a couple of weeks. It's.
Next Wednesday, we're
Yeah.
going to one, so.
I think
But,
that's also why you submitted the MAFE as a cap, not like you're not changing the wage just to be 17, whatever. You just want to raise it so you have the discretion to
Flexibility.
hire it, whatever you want, if it's 15 or 16, 17,
That's
whatever,
correct.
so.
Well, we have a couple of ranger positions after our full-time guys leave at night. We need responsible people in the parks for our rental facilities. So some of those folks, you know, the incentive to get a responsible person in might be at the top end of that scale, but I'm looking for a little flexibility between that 15 and 17 to be able to retain the younger guys that I get in. I can say next year I can take you up to 16, and if you come back the following year, I can get you up to 17 and keep you there. So I don't have to start with a whole new crowd of people every year. I can try to retain some of these folks summer after summer.
If you notice, go through any drive-through, really, you know, chances are the person that's helping you out and serving you right there is not in college. They're older folks, you know,
Yeah.
and they got that commitment, and I'm not saying the younger people don't, but, you know, it's just, you know, they have other things they need to do and they want to do, which is, you know, that's the future and that's great. But I think this will even help us get that. And when you do, you'll get a higher qualified person maybe, and we can compensate them a little bit better.
Okay. Yeah, I think they were very clear. I mean, I met with Derek and Dave McKee, and we talk about this. Inflation, as you know, has been hurting everybody, and not just in Independence Township, but in the whole country, maybe in the world, quite frankly. Gas prices going up, and it's very competitive to find good people to work in the private sector, the public sector. I mean, it is hard. And when they told me about it's very difficult to hire people with $15, I told them, yeah, we need to do something about it. And I asked them for their recommendation, and they believe 1725, we allow them to be flexible and find the right people for this season, part-timers. So that's why I bring that to you guys with them. I think that will be a good thing. It will be a good tool that will help them to expedite and help them to get the right people for this season. So, and I think they explain and bring good points, and that we ask for a motion.
I'll make a motion to
Okay.
approve and cap the part-time seasonal employee pay scale to no more than $17.25 per hour. All pay increases for part-time seasonal employees will follow current procedures and documentation requirements currently established by the township and approved by the supervisor. In addition, to move to approve 2023 budget amendment number 13 as presented.
Support.
Okay. Motion has made by trustee Stonian and support by trustee Ritchie, and a simple majority. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dave.
Good luck.
Yeah, good luck.
Okay, now we're gonna jump to number 4 because we make a change.
Yep, gravel
Okay.
road.
Gravel road, yes. Hold that. Okay. As you know, this is something we done every year. It's in our budget. What is this? Is basically the township gravel road require more maintenance and materials that current the RCOC, Oakland County Road Commissioner, budgets allowed to assist the RCOC in their efforts to provide safer the gravel roads. The township is again proposing to supplement the RCOC maintenance efforts with $50,000 in additional gravel. In 2023, $50,000 was budgeted on the account, three-party agreement for the purchase of the gravel for supplement Oakland County road repairs efforts. It is expected that this purchase will add gravel we're talking about 1.52 miles of dirt road. According to the road commissioner of Oakland County, the 2023 contract is being extended at the same unit price at 2022. In addition, as you know, Pine Up Road is also going to be done in 2023, thanks to the contribution of $60,000 from Pine Up 313%, which is the Pine Up, as you know, is the company that runs the Pine Up concerts. Any questions?
Yeah, I do.
Sure.
So, I know that they're not gonna be doing my part of Pine Knob Road with DTE money, so what is the boundaries of the Pine Knob Road money? Because Pine Knob's a long road, so what part of Pine Knob Road are they gonna do? Just from Walden to Sashabaw, or Walden to Clarkston?
It was right there. Hold on.
I don't think it was specified exactly what had to be, but that was the section that obviously they're using the most of.
Right, no, I get it, I'm not
Yeah.
expecting.
But I mean, I don't think it was targeted in, Mr. Alio, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think the agreement for them to do it said it had to, only be used in that section,
Well,
but I think it's
right.
to make sure that Pine Knob Road got some extra treatment since they're putting all the traffic up
Right.
and down there.
So what's the mechanism so they're on a rotation schedule of roads, so it's kind of luck of the draw when your road pops up in the weather and all that. What's the mechanism that $60,000 is gonna be used, for these extra things? Like who triggers that so we get the best bang for the buck when the roads are tore up the most? Or who's in charge of spending the $60K? And I wouldn't expect it to be used on my part of Pine Knob Road because that's not affected by the concert traffic. But even the part that is, like, how do we know, what's the trigger, to spend that? And that's one question I got. And then the second question would be: would this qualify for us to use millage money for this contribution?
You know,
And if
the
it
millage that we
Well, for
already-
county roads, which this is county road repair that we're doing, and we have money for county road repair, so that's another question I've been bringing up on whether we can use any of that money for county dirt road services, and then if that's the case, what, can we contribute more to the county road gravel if we were able to tap into the millage money for the county road repairs. So those are all questions I have about this dirt road maintenance thing. I don't know if you have the answers right now, but.
Right, well, when I met with the county, I mean, I talked about specifically this, and this is, we're gonna do it like every other year. It's nothing gonna change, it's gonna be how it's done before. And they specify, like Ron said, he stated that it's just in the area where it's used for the, most of the time for the concerts. is what
Well,
I
that's the
understood.
60,000,
Right.
but this, we're buying gravel for 1.5 miles of road wherever they deem necessary.
Mhm.
It can be 100 yards here, like they do Stickney and Pine Knob quite a bit, which I traverse through, but they'll just put gravel on about 100 feet of it where it's the worst, and then they'll move on. They don't, so I'm assuming the 1.52 is an accumulative amount of gravel spread out through all of the township dirt roads, and that's how much, value we get. So they keep track of the tonnage based on the rate, or however they do their
Right.
math.
That's what I understood.
So then the 60,000's a different entity, which would be the thing.
Right.
So, like if they could tell us that, they're gonna, it's on the schedule to do 4 times a year, but they're gonna do Pine Knob, 7 times a year from Walden to Clarkston, to,
I was hoping once a year.
well, to understand the
Yeah.
value that we're getting, because now we're
Right.
giving them 110 grand, and could we, could we get more, or do we need more? Because it's deficient in a lot of
Well,
places.
This is also supplement money. It's like the county already has a budget on how much gravel they're allotting, say, for Independence Township.
Right.
So this $50,000 worth of gravel is in addition to whatever they were gonna use to try and get more of the roads done, So I mean, it isn't, the 50,000 isn't meant to do, be our only, amount of gravel.
But we're
that we're putting
contributing
in the
to
road.
their,
To the amount they
so
were already gonna put.
they're already giving us more than 1.52 as our tax base, and do
I
we
guess,
know what
yeah,
that
that's-
is?
Not sure what they consider how much they're putting out, but.
I don't remember, but it wasn't a few meetings
Yeah.
ago. We had the whole road presentation.
And I'm
so-
all for
Yeah.
spending money on dirt road maintenance, don't get me wrong. I just
Yeah.
want to make sure that we're
Yeah.
doing enough and that we're getting our value for it, and the people that live between Walden Road and Clarkston on Pine Knob are going to see an added benefit to their roads being better maintained than the rest of the roads in the township because of this funding that's been allocated
But
for their abuse, the abuse that their road takes.
to me, the 60,000 is a one-time donation. I don't know if we can get them to do it again or not, but I mean, if we don't need all 60,000, say for 2023, I guess I don't want to just use it all, then.
Well, that's kind of
years
my
now
point,
it
Ron, is I
happens.
just don't know who's the tally keep,
I agree with you. I agree with you.
I just
There
was
needs
a
to be
question,
more.
how would we track that, or no?
That's a good question, though. I mean, I was told that was, they donate or they put $60,000, but I would like to follow up with them and see if there's something they would like to contribute every year, or, because I would like them to contribute every year, quite frankly.
Well, that's what I say, to me, the concerts go on every year, so I mean, it's continuous where, if they were like repaving the road or something, I would say, okay, that's a one-time thing, but I mean, if the graveling or grading is something that's gonna need to be done on a regular basis, and I guess my comment to Supervisor Fisher at the time, when he was talking to them, was, they're utilizing these public roads, but they're not coming to the game to help out with any of it. And that, I just thought it was, after they've been there as many years as they've been there, it seems like they would, want to participate in something. And basically, it was part of the emergency exit onto Clarkson Road that got this conversation finally started with them. So.
Right. Those people are inconvenienced by this, the
Sure.
traffic that live on that road. I mean, so you want to try to soften it up the best we can for them.
Treasurer Brown?
My recollection on the timing of the grading is that the road commission has always rotated it. So if I think there were usually, and sometimes we had that with us, I don't see it here. There's a list of the roads they do, and they simply rotated it every year so that whoever was getting it done first wasn't the first the next year. And they followed, in the past, they always followed a pretty consistent pattern of switching it up every year so that it wasn't, always the same.
Yeah, it's the
Just
weather
FYI.
that gets you, you get do it the day before a rainstorm, and it's like it didn't get done, you know, just luck of the draw, you know?
Well, that's the benefit of them getting the chloride down right behind their graders.
Well, that was the other question I had, is about the chloride on Pine Knob. Should some of the $60,000 that they're donating be contributed to the dust control for those people on Pine Knob? Because that, if you live on a dirt road, you know that can really kill you. And if you're running, 5,000 cars down it that wouldn't normally, those are just some questions. And Jose, I can make a list of some of them for you that we can maybe call and get some
Why don't you
answers
send me an
on.
email with all your questions?
Okay.
And I'll take care of it. But I remember when I met with them, they told me, Jose, this is 60,000, you guys can utilize in whatever way you want for
Right, it
the
could be for
road,
chloride or
chloride or
gravel,
everything. They told me that.
Okay.
They were very
Green,
open, they just wanna help. But Ron brought today a very good point. This is, we don't want probably, in my opinion, we don't want that to be one contribution 1 year only. Just, I want this relationship to continue every year to help our residents and all that. That's a good point, Ron.
And at least understand how much improvements needed each year to maintain it. And then, maybe the thing is 30,000 a year.
Right.
Whatever the right amount. I'm not trying to say they need to do 60,000 a year, but I just want them to have some ownership of the use that they're using the road and the inconvenience of the residents in that area.
Sure.
Sure. Okay. Any other questions from board members?
I'll move to approve the purchase of the 22 AA type gravel from the Road Commission for Oakland County RCOC for the purpose of applying gravel to approximately 1.52 miles of township dirt roads, plus maintenance of Pine Knob Road.
Second.
Okay. Motion has made by trustee Ritchie and seconded by treasurer Brown. A simple majority. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Number 5. Okay, number 5. Okay, so this is number 5 is about this is a request to approve the 2023 budget amendment 14 and accept the proposal recruitment services. The township has an open position for the Information Technology Manager, CIO. It has been recommended by multiple sources to use a specialized recruiter. We talked this before about this, to fill the vacancy. After we reviewed 3 proposals, it came to us 3 proposals. I believe Amy Cell LLC Value Plan as the best fit for our needs of the township at the cost of $9,250. This is coming to you as an amendment. Only of this amount falls below the board approval, but I'm gonna bring it to you guys. And I recommended this because it will be good to have a company, to help us for the recruitment, because this is a very sensitive position. And we want to get the best talent, someone to perform the best job for us. And then it's very competitive for other townships. I know that it is quite frankly hard. I talked to even people in different townships and different cities about this position, and this is a position that's very sensitive. It's a lot of responsibility, hard work, and we need to attract the best talent for this. I open for you guys for any questions or anything about this.
Mr. Supervisor?
Yes.
I just wanted to comment, the ITOC committee met today, and the board received a late submittal, which was an amended job description for this position. You were also provided with a few red lines. We are changing that from CIO, requesting to change from a CIO back to just an information technology manager. There was just a few housekeeping things, I think, that we updated from to a driver's license, from an operator's permit, and things like that. So I wanted to let you know why you received this late. It was updated into the packet, but we were afraid board members might not have had a chance to view it, because the committee didn't meet until 10 o'clock this morning, and then to get red lines and things after lunches and get it out to you, so. That's all I have.
Thank you, Carrie. Treasurer Brown?
I was a little skeptical at first, seeing the cost of this from Amy Sell. If you've had experience with recruiters in the past, it's often 25 to 30% of first year's salary for that position being hired, and this is significantly below that. But as I did a little research online for this company, I found some pretty good information, and I'm going to support this. It is important to have a professional looking for this position. It's a critical position, and none of us here are IT experts. So trying to hire that position is more difficult than a lot of the others.
I have a follow-up, I'm sorry.
Sure.
Just as a follow-up to our new HR manager has dealt with Amy Sell before. It was a recommendation we from her, so we reached out to this company. So others have used them, close to us locally, so it's not totally unknown.
Okay. You want to have more questions? Somebody would like to make a motion?
I'll move to accept the proposal received from Amy Sell LLC for recruitment services for an information technology manager in the amount not to exceed $9,250, and direct the supervisor to sign the proposal as the authorized representative of the township, approve the amendment job description, and approve the 2023 budget amendment number 14 as presented.
I'll second.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. 6. This is to request the new position for media for PR. I believe it's PR, yes. That's PR, yes. So, for many years, I see that we have a good PR on Parks and Rec, and I see other townships around, they have a good PR, a person with the media wanna have a question for department, for the treasurer, supervisor office, or the clerk. I said it's important to have somebody in the house that can handle that and help us to promote some of the events, some of the information to the public. And then I was thinking to having a PR will help to have that, keep it more professional and all that. So I presented that to you guys to see. I think it's something that we need, quite frankly. I talked to our clerk about that, and I think we talked about this with Paul, with Treasurer Brown about this, and I think it's something that's gonna help us and keep it more professional and organized in our building. So, do you have any comments? Or yes, clerk.
I did want to comment, something that Trustee Alamothu and I have both commented on several times, that we need to be more advanced with social media, reaching these employees that we're seeking. That age group is, that's where they are. They're not reading the newspapers. We're not putting ads in the newspaper. They're not reading the physical papers anymore. And Parks and Rec does have a social media page, but I think we've been very behind the times, and I think we can benefit greatly by somebody who has that expertise within guidelines, and I think that we can have uniform postings. I think it can really just grow. And outside of that, with just the different social media platforms, I think also with our Township Times, with the newspaper, I think it would be great that is under that position as well, and departments then can, there can be some more structure with that, and, just so, I think there'll be routine, everything will come in and have to go out in certain fonts, certain ways, there'll be timelines. I just think that it's a great opportunity for us. I think we are behind the times in this position. Our employees, to put this on our current employees, another thing for them to do. I think with their other full-time jobs, I don't really feel that we have an employee that, or even one employee in every department that can kind of take that on. As it is now, each department updates their own website pages. I think that's something else that would fall under this person. We could filter it to that person, and it'll be done in a timely manner. We have other things often that come more importance and priority. with the jobs that we do on a daily basis. And I think it's important that is our other face to the community is our website, and to have that be current. And oftentimes that's something that isn't, that's just, you know, it's forgotten. So I really think that this will be a great opportunity for us. I'm excited to see how the township is growing, our staff is growing, the opportunities that we're giving the public. Again, I just hope this is something that the board is in favor of, and I think it'll just bring great things. So that's all I have.
Yeah, just to add, very good point, Carrie. This is something that I hear for many years for other board members and the public. I remember when I talked to you, Terry, once you told me about we lack of presence on social media, and we don't have any pages for our township or anything, and I have to agree with you. That's why I think that is gonna take care of that. I think this position will help us keep it organized and bring good information to the public. And that's why I presented this today to the board, and I hope you guys support me in this. Yes.
I was gonna kind of go along the lines of the same thing you guys are saying, that just before November, when I started getting involved with the township, I very unaware of what was even going on unless I really tried to dig in and look for our online presence, and our public engagement was really lagging. So it's really nice to see taking initiative to be more engaging.
Thank you. Treasurer Brown?
So I think this is an excellent thing, and the ability to communicate with residents is super important. And I will add that I actually got a message from former Supervisor Kittle today, who said the media relations thing, that's a great idea. And so you always like to make sure you communicate with the public, and I know you want to. And we're here to perform services for the residents, and being able to let them know what those services are and how to best get them, this is what we can get from this. And so I'm all in favor of it.
Trustee Ritchie?
I guess I've said it in here many times and said that we need to have more social media presence and newer communication techniques, I guess. But I guess at no time did I ever dream that it would become a whole separate job function by itself. So I guess to me, I don't see where all the stuff that you guys talked about would be a full-time position for a person. So I understand, Carrie, I agree with you that no single department has an extra person, like like what the Parks and Rec's doing to do that. But I guess I don't see everything that was mentioned. I still don't see that being a full-time job for somebody. So
Sure. And it's a good point, Ron. I do know that a lot of townships have that position, and helps just because we have new generations, and every new generations, I mean, the new generation is actually called the glass generation because they are more in social media, more in the phone and all that. And that is, I believe it's time to update ourselves and modernize ourselves, and I think that will be a good step to keep up with good information for the public. Like Carrie says, and I have to agree with Carrie, it's a lot of people now in those days that they're not reading the newspaper anymore. They're going to internet, they're going to their phone, and it's important for the township to provide a good information about our services. And we provide great services, and I think that's gonna help us having a professional person giving the information. Like Trustee Stonian says, he says he have to dig a lot to find good information about the great services the township provides, but he have to spend more extra time to find information. And I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people in the group. You bring a good point. I don't disagree with you, but I think this is gonna help us for the future, from today moving forward.
I just think it's pretty vaguely outlined what the job duties for the person.
Oh.
When you look at the job description there, they talk about being the spokesperson for the township, which to me, that's the supervisor job. So if you're gonna speak, why wouldn't you speak directly as opposed to telling somebody else what to say? So
No, it will coordinate. Obviously, I will handle all directly myself, but it will coordinate on behalf of me sometimes. For instance, right now, if the media wanna call to talk to about ask some questions, who you call if you call other townships, they will have a PR person that will handle or give the right direction how to start this, and I think,
As opposed to just calling and talking to the supervisor, correct?
can I finish my statement, please?
Sure, go ahead.
Yeah. No, I just want to finish my statement. I want to do models or ideas that's working in other townships. And I think they did work for other townships. I think it's going to work for us.
Supervisors?
Yes.
Ron brought up the same concern that I brought up for the full-time grant writer. Just, and the response was that if we find out that it's really not needed to be a full-time position, that it's an at-will and that could be readdressed at that time if we end up realizing it's not needed. Is it the same situation here?
This is an
Yeah.
at-will, this is an at-will position.
Yeah, it's a with position. Yeah. Yes.
I think that it's a very needed position right now, and I agree that we need to just see how it plays out. I think that it's gonna be a full-time job until we all feel comfortable that we're where we should be with the, getting the word out. I also think that we can use that, we're gonna find ways, I'm hoping, to use that person even more than we're thinking about now, in conveying like what we did at tonight's meeting in a way that people can easily understand it in what, in whatever format they can, to let people understand what's moving forward, what's not, different than an agenda if they do it right and they have the right demeanor and they do it in a manner that provokes interest, that people will follow it. So I think that there's no way to get around it, that we need it now. The longevity of it and the scope of work is a TBD, but I think that we need to get to this point first with the position and get ourselves up running, and then, if we need to revisit it, we will, later if we, but I think we gotta start with it, for sure.
Okay. Somebody would like to make Trustee Delamat.
I think it's needed. Like they were saying for years, we do have a lack of presence on social media, but I'm also looking that this position, if people get used to the one that, the facts are coming from you and it's just this person relaying, it's going to take away a lot of the stuff that happens on social media. Like you're going to talk about your DDA, unless they really know what's going on. Everyone in the community is just starting their own stories about it. And if it's concise and you have it coming from a place, that's the place to go. And I think that's part of what I like about this. It's going to stop that. It's going to stop all the infighting in the township because, this person heard it from here and it gets all over social media instead of coming from the source. So I think this is going to hopefully disperse a lot of negativity out there. And when these new developments happen and how they happened and a little backstory. So hopefully it'll just be something that eases the community's mind on a lot of things when it's coming from the source and gets out there appropriately.
Very good point, Avery. Anyone would like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the creation of Media Relations Public Information Officer position, a non-union position that will fall under the supervision of the Supervisor's Office, to amend Section 106, Media Relations, in the Employee Handbook as presented in Exhibit B, and approve the 2023 Budget Amendment Number 15 as presented.
I'll second.
Motion has made by Clerk Newbeck and seconded by Trustee Nalamatu. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
Opposed?
Okay. I guess this one we go to number 3, right? We move number 3 to after
Yep.
number 6, so.
Yep.
All right, hold on. We're going to number
Brand
3.
development.
So because we make a amendment to the,
No, he's coming up to 3.
right, he's right, hold on. Derek? This is to request to set the proposal for the brand development services, or Director of Parks and Rec, Derek Smith.
First, I want to commend the board for opening this position up, because one of the things that has been frustrating over the last 6 years that I've been here is we tend to be very reactionary in a lot of the things, processes that we do, getting information out to the public. We're reactionary instead of being proactive. This position will help us get not only documents that leave this building will be formatted in a language that we want to convey ourselves to the public, but they'll also be able to get ahead on things like promoting renovations at Brady Lodge, what road construction projects are going on. We can relay that information to the public quicker with a public relations department and get that information out into the public's hands and stop the phone calls and the questions and stuff coming in. We'll be able to get out ahead of that more adequately through certain social media channels, not just the newspaper anymore. And it's funny because we talk about trying to get the younger generation through social media when they're not even on Facebook anymore. I don't know if public relations people are into Snapchat or not, but that's where all the kids are these days. So. But I just think it's relatively important, or it's very important, this position in particular, and I'm going to help Trustee Stoyan because I know where he's going with moving this, is this branding package that we want to put out is the key to the whole thing. Because it puts us in a place where we strategize the visioning of this township and where we want to be down the road. Where do we want to be in 5 years? It helps us. We have had a website that's been dead in the water for 3-4 years now. And a big part of that is because of the language and how we want to project ourselves to our community. And not just the residents of our community, but our visitors as well. This is an economic development piece. It's not just a PR position. It's not just a social media position. It's an economic development piece to get who we are, what we believe in, and what our residents want this community to become. It's that language we project outside of this building professionally as a unified front in the language that we speak that helps promote those future endeavors to our future goals. And I know that Trustee Stoyan wanted to delay this, and maybe we don't pick this branding firm until this new public relations person comes on board, because it's really important that this person is in tune with this process. And am I wrong? Is that where you were probably going with this?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it makes all the sense in the world. I've been trying to get this done since 2018, but selfishly, I'd like to get this going now, but I didn't even know this was on the agenda tonight until I got here and read it and realized. And then when you made the motion, I'm like, it makes all the sense in the world.
Yeah, it makes sense.
So, I would be in favor of delaying this. I don't know what our projected timeline is for this new person, but I think it would be very, very important that this new position is on board with whatever company we choose and the strategy behind it.
That is exactly why.
So.
Because the potential candidates may very well be marketing experts.
Well, I don't think that they're going to be able to do this process in-house to save us the money. I think it's going to be important that they help pick the firm that we move forward with. This public relations person isn't going to have the expertise in branding. They're going to have a public relations background in projecting the message that we choose, but they're not going to have the expertise to actually do this process on their own. So in that, again, this is something that I've been passionate about, is the strategic planning, getting construction out to our residents, getting the word out about who we are, and using that proper language. We've been over this time and time again about we're all using different logos, we're all conveying different messages, we don't have taglines that promote our community. Whoever this new person is, I would be happy to go through how I've gotten to the point to where I am and hand the ball over to them, but I really think that it would be very important that this new person has a fingerprint on this branding. So
Sure.
it's just my 2 cents. If you want me to continue to move forward with it, I've vetted 13 companies and I can put my 2 cents on it, but it's not my background, so.
Okay, that's interesting. Nancy, I just want to what's your opinion about this. So for what Derek saying is we cannot move forward with this because we have to wait, I guess, at this point, right, Derek?
I'm not saying that we have to.
We don't
I'm
have
just
to,
saying
right?
that I think it would be more appropriate.
More
for this new
appropriate.
person, sure.
Is any problem if we move forward with this, legally talking, or?
From a legal perspective, there's not any challenge in moving forward with making your decision about your branding company tonight from a legal perspective, no.
Okay. All right, that's all I want to clarify. Yes.
This is a comment.
Sure.
Should we make a decision and move forward with the branding tonight, the motion could be contingent upon the hiring of that person.
That's what I was going.
Well, because it was a formal
That's-
bidding process, so we do
Correct.
have 13 vendors that are
Waiting and
emailing me,
answering.
wondering what's going on, so,
So
and
we're-
that's up to you.
My recommendation that we maybe,
I think your
move that way.
recommendation will be the best way to go.
So what
Yeah.
you're saying is that, make a recommendation that when we go to hire a branding company, that you think that this would be the one we picked tonight is the one that he's recommending? Can we do that now? Is that what you're proposing?
well, I think I've talked with Derek quite a bit on this, and I appreciate the work and the vetting and actually the avenue that he took to streamline this, to bring it down, how he, those that he disqualified and the reasons that he's disqualified. And I think of the two top contenders for him that checked the boxes, one of them, as he listed in there, which was the Red Hat Creative Consultancy, was interested in them as well, but they didn't even meet, they didn't bid for everything that was put in the RFP. They'd be all some additional things, so it would cost us even more in the long run. I think he removed some that were out of state. He was given some recommendations to, wouldn't really be wise to choose a company that doesn't live here and know, our surroundings and what is here. I thought that was very smart. He reached out to a company that we had hoped that would put a bid in for this, but the approved amount I don't think was high enough that the company could bid. And he gave, and I'm sure he can speak more to that, but they gave some recommendations on how he could better dwindle this down. I mean, how great that we had 13 or 14, but this is something we've been working on for several years. I hate the word kick the can down the road, but we have kicked it so much that the can can't even be recycled. And I really would like us to move forward with this. I think the majority of the board, or at least I have felt, is we agree that this is something also that's needed to bring us forward. I've been working under the same logo. I'll have a hard time, changing that logo going forward because I've worked many years under it, but we do need to be updated. We do need a vision. And there's so much behind all of this, and I'm passionate about this as well. And I just think if we can make a motion to choose a company and maybe postpone the beginning of the workings on it or something until after. I mean, I can't envision that we shouldn't be able to post and hire someone in this position should have them filled within 30 days, I would think. So we're not really delaying the process that much. Realistically, I think, do you think, Nancy, we could post and have something hired, interviews within 30 days? So
Okay.
that's my recommendation.
Yes. Treasurer Brown?
I was kind of leaning the same way. I do think that if we're gonna hire a public relations person, the question is, will we have more trust in that person walking in the door saying, I don't like that branding company, I want this one? Given as much experience that our Parks Director has, having gone through the process, I'm gonna lean towards trusting, what he said, but I, again, wouldn't want the process to start without that person being in place, so that they're there from the beginning. So awarding it, but postponing the beginning of the process till that person's on board with it, so they start with the team at the beginning.
Hold on, Trustee Stone.
Thank you. In the last agenda item, Supervisor Sam mentioned the
Supervisor.
I'm sorry, Trustee Sam mentioned the possibility of even learning more ways to utilize this possible new employee. And again, it does kind of go hand in hand. Media relations and marketing does kind of go hand in hand. Potential candidates could have an expertise in this, and if we are moving forward with paying this company and bringing in someone that could have potentially done this as well, we're essentially double dipping. This new candidate may have experience, resources, and ideas to give us exactly what we're looking for already, but I think that pulling the trigger beforehand maybe putting the cart before the horse.
I think it's two separate professions.
It is,
Yeah,
again,
there's a-
potentially.
Yeah,
They
there's,
could potentially have that expertise.
it's two totally, public relations is a totally separate profession than marketing and branding. So the public relations person is gonna help you project the message that we all choose. So, and that's where the branding company comes in and helps us go through that process to get to a point where the public relations person will then convey the message. But I'm not disagreeing with you that they probably are gonna have some experience in dealing with this without a doubt. But, and I appreciate the fact that I have spent a lot of time on getting this to where we are. There's some great companies in here, some great local companies, and you're right, I talked to, someone that I've been through this process with before, and they're very well accomplished. And they put us on a good road, eliminating people that aren't from the Metro Detroit area, so, because they don't understand the lay of the land in Metro Detroit, the geography. They don't know the other communities that surround us and their characteristics, so I thought that was very important to note. And just little things like, if their website doesn't look good, then how are they gonna make your website look good? Or if their social media pages are terrible, then if they can't even mend their own house, how are they gonna help you, with yours? So learned a lot of good things, but, again, it's gonna be a decision that you guys need to make. I'd be more than willing to go through the process with you and show you what I came up with, and that might help you one way or the other. Or we can push it down the road a little bit further until we get this person on board, whichever you choose, so.
Okay. Trustee Marak.
Well, I think it's real important that this PR person is super excited about this brand. That's going to be key to the success of promoting the brand, that the person's excited about it. So they definitely got to be on board, in my opinion. Whether or not, if we can commit to Q&M and not pull the trigger with them yet, I don't know if that's, but identify that that's the company that we're identifying as the contract signee, My only concern that kind of goes along with Trustee Stoyan's is that not that the PR person's going to be the branding person, but that the PR person has a relationship with the branding company that they're excited to work with that has had success. That's more the avenue I'm going, which, would be the obstacle that that I see. I commend you, Derek, for not pushing this through, because I know how adamant you are about getting this done. So I appreciate you taking a step back for the good of the township and doing giving the process a chance to work to its best ability. That's really my only concern would be that is if the person we hired had a previous relationship with somebody that might be one of the top two contenders, what would be the only thing, but, I'm all for moving forward, however you guys,
Thank you.
want to do that.
And thank you. I think Trustee Stonian brought a good point. I mean, he wants to save money, and it's the right thing to do. Bring a new idea. He could say, we can save money. That's a good idea. I mean, I'm in the board since 2012 with Ron and Paul, but even before that, during Supervisor Wagner, we're talking about 2004. They talk about this. It was postponed. It was postponed in 2008. Something happened. It has been postponed for a long time. And I remember when, even give you another case, when I came to Michigan, I remember there was a Lake Orion and Orion. And most people know Lake Orion. If they say, where do you live? Lake Orion. And so one supervisor in Orion got the rebrand, got the logo, everything. And now it's a different. They have their own logo. Most people saying, I live in Orion Township. Here, we still have that kind of issue. A lot of people, even I got sometimes people write me and says, Jose, I want to make a complaint about the you guys are charging parking in downtown Clarkston. I mean, people say, oh, this is different. We are Independence Township. We are not Clarkston. And we still have those issues. And I think this is going to help a lot and give us our identity, and it's gonna help us a lot to move
And
forward as well.
Supervisor
Yes.
Aliaga, if I can bring up one
Sure.
quick point that confirms what you just said,
Mhm.
is Q&M, I actually vetted them pretty hard, and they actually have experience of separating Cascade Township away from Grand Rapids,
Mhm.
because kind of a similar situation here, Cascade Township, everybody just assumed they were Grand Rapids, Grand Rapids, Grand Rapids. Kind of the way we're affiliated with the city of the village, they already kind of have experience in separating that township identity away from a larger city like Grand Rapids. And that was one of the, kind of the deciding factors at the end of my vetting process when I was talking to the gentleman at Q&M. He's like, yeah, we have a similar situation just like that we did a couple of years ago. So I thought that was a road that they've already walked. So that was kind of one more, plus in their corner.
Sure. Trustee Richie.
Maybe a way around this is, I don't know, is the second choice like $20,000 or?
We actually, when I narrowed it down, there's 3 companies that came anywhere between 16 and, 17.5, but they weren't completely, when you read through all of their bid packages, some of them gave you a base package with variant logos and additional work added to it that wasn't in their base price. And what I mean by that is every company will give you your standard logo, and then they'll give you 2 or 3 different variants where they will take that logo and turn it perpendicular. They'll shrink it because not every logo looks good on a hat or a t-shirt or a vehicle or on business cards, websites, all this. You can't make one logo that fits everything. So some companies charge extra for the variants. Q&M was like, this is the base price within the contract for everything you're looking for, and we don't believe in charging extras. Now, and Carrie was right, there was one company to me that stood above and beyond all the others, and that was Red Hat out of Lansing. But their base price was right at the $20,000 that we capped the bid out at. They wanted another $10,000 for the brand platform, and then for every additional variant logo and add-on, like they didn't include cleaning up the township seal. So they would charge us another $800 to $1,200 to clean that up or add a variant logo. So of course they were awesome, but they'd also cost us over $30,000, where these other companies had everything included in the package for $17,500. So.
I guess what I was trying to get at is that we could move forward by saying we don't have to select the entity tonight, but give him authorization to move forward with not to exceed, say, $20,000. Then he could still pick, if he wanted to pick a different one, you could still do that. And I don't know if that leeway helps you, or that way we could pass it to move forward to do branding, but.
I don't think I understand what you're.
What?
Basically saying we're gonna authorize you
To pick whatever company.
We're gonna support the pick you make, given that value. So if you change, if you go hire somebody right now and they change your mind, you pick somebody else, you're not coming back to us.
So actually, it falls within that new threshold that we approved.
Right. The reason we're even having this conversation tonight is because this went out to bid prior to us changing the procurement policy, where we could have just vetted this internally, and I wouldn't even be standing here in front of you tonight.
Yeah.
We could have just picked something.
All right.
Well, would that be after we
Somebody would
hire
like
a
to make a
promotion
motion?
person?
Yeah.
That's good. Okay, somebody would like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to accept the brand development services bid proposal from Q&M of Ann Arbor, Michigan for $17,600, and direct the township supervisor to sign the bid contract.
I'll support.
Okay. All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Opposed.
Okay. All right. And the last one.
Thank you very much.
Sure.
Thank you, Derek,
Appreciate
for
all
all
your
your
work
hard
on this.
work.
Thank you, Derek. Thank you.
Now
Board
we're
of
down
Trustees.
to what, the bottom?
All right, yeah, we're going now to
Number
number
seven?
seven, yes.
Oh, the janitor,
All right.
custodian.
Yes. What it is about is to get a custodian, somebody that be in the house, to do perform the cleaning services. Back in the day, we used to have that, and it works great for us. We used to have companies in the past as well. In my opinion, for me, it didn't work. In my opinion, I recommend the board to hire somebody that will be in the union. This was a union position. We already spoke with the union president and told us that there won't be any problem. This is gonna help us to have somebody in the house. For instance, if somebody drop coffee right now or leave a mess around, I can make a phone call or something and clean it right away. And other scenario where we were, that won't happen. I mean, that's those people will come a couple times a week or something like that, and it still didn't bring me a good result. And what I'm looking is for a positive result. I want good services, and it's not just for the township building; it's for other buildings. You see, it's also for DPW, for the Oakland County Sheriff substation. So this person will be in the house, and the main responsibility will be those buildings. So, yes, trustee.
What are their working hours?
Hold on, I think that we
I
put
think it's to be
I
determined.
guess that was gonna be my question too.
So my concern is, first of all, when you have one person doing a job, there's gonna be some times when the job can't get done. So what's the backup plan?
Sure.
When they're sick, on vacation,
Yes, 1 second.
you know, that's
Dave, can you
question
come, please?
one.
That's a fair question.
So just to, had some thought about this too, Sam. It's a good question. So, one of the benefits of having somebody here is that, they're here 5 days a week as of right now. So, and days that they're off, days that they're off or something like that, they're gonna be like any employee, they'll have it, we will cover it. We'll cover it with staff. That person gets
So-
time off. We can cover it with additional staff
Are
if
you
something
gonna-
that needs to be done. The schedule, working hours could be, it's a flexible schedule. So obviously, there's a lot of things that can have to be done when you can't have a full house, That might be a couple days a week that person might work till 6 p.m. And then they can vacuum down here, and then they're on the rotating basis on there. A schedule will be worked out to accommodate and get all functions
So-
done.
I know a little bit about, office cleaning back in my youth. So, obviously, working after hours is the most productive time because there aren't people there making noise, grabbing trash, doing everything. Trying to clean an office building while people are there is
Yep.
probably about half the efficiency you're gonna have if it's a vacant building. So that's one concern would be is with 3 facilities to clean, fire station, just how that's gonna work. I'm all for it if we can get the service that we want, because that's gonna be a little tricky with covering if you're gonna train people. There's a lot to know, and you're in sensitive areas, so it's not just a job anyone can do. You're in very sensitive areas if you're cleaning the clerk's office, supervisor's office, treasurer's office, sheriff's department, fire station, so it's not anyone can do it. So as long as there's some assurances that someone else is trained, that's been vetted, because it's, Carrie, what's the joke?
Yeah.
I mean, you can see where I'm going with that. There's just, I was in the business when I was a very young man, so I know a little bit about it, and those are some of my concerns of trying to do it during business hours. To me, doesn't seem like the best way to do it. Not in this building. Other buildings may be, so this might be like the afternoon or something, but you guys throw around what you think about it.
Thank you, Sam. And by the way, you look very young, just so you know.
Yeah.
Happy Carrie.
I just wanted to comment that back prior, the years up until '04, I can tell you personally, we've had 4 different employees that have, I think of them by name, that have done the services in-house. When I came back to see that we had contracted it outside was something new for me. The other municipalities I've worked, we've also had it in-house, but to reflect back on what we did prior, the employee did work during the day. They did empty trash. They could do miscellaneous jobs, like they can be down here dusting the blinds, vacuuming down here when there's not meetings, but of course, after hours, vacuuming would have to take place. And I just think when that person's vested, when they're an employee, I think they're more vested than possibly an outside an outside business. And we have even more things met, like something which you're gonna think is very insequential, but to me it's not. I've had to put in a work order to have all of the clocks changed in the building for daylight savings twice a year. Nobody thinks about that. I'm not tall enough to reach that clock, and I refer to that clock, so light bulbs are out. We actually had some leaking in the lobby last week, or maybe in even the beginning of this week. Somebody to handle that. When we got a toilet over, there's a lot of instances, help with bringing up reams of paper, cases of paper from downstairs, setting up for meetings, tearing down for meetings is very helpful for during the day. I know the sheriff's department, with the company since I've been back, asked that their cleaning gets done during the day. So
Yes.
that is something that they want, when they have, I don't know, maybe they're busier out in the field during the day than they are at night,
Yeah.
maybe. But
Well, yeah, there's a lot of things we can do during the business. I'm sorry, Paul. Did you go ahead?
The thing for me on this is the costs of outside cleaning services have skyrocketed because they can't get help either. They have to pay more money, and we're not gonna have consistency because their people leave, they have to get new people, and they're not gonna be as invested as this position will be, and I'm pretty sure this is gonna be a close to neutral budget
Yeah.
hit. We're spending more than this is gonna, or approximately as much as this has cost for all the cleaning we have done all year right now.
Actually, Paul, that's a great point. I had some numbers, if you look at like contact time, like people being here, it's gonna be less. If you really look at it for an hourly time. Because right now we're getting 3 days a week.
That's
it.
how often they clean?
Right now.
Is that what
That's
you're
it.
getting?
Yeah.
Okay.
And
I like the in-house person,
We
only
do.
because of the sensitive stuff and the employee and accountability. I'm all for,
Yep.
that part of it. It's your guys are the ones that work here. If you think it can be done, I'll support the idea.
yeah.
But just as long as we're thinking about all the things,
we can definitely, definitely keep the person busy, and the facilities will stay clean. And it's an extra body that can, Carrie brought up a lot of good points to come around and help out and do other things as needed. Derek's got something that really needs set up or something like that at the senior center, he's got, it's an extra person that's available to go help out. And they won't be idle, they won't be sitting on their hands, I can tell you that much.
So you're overseeing them?
Hold on, Ron has for it. Ron.
I was gonna say, that's what I was gonna bring up. To me, I guess I don't like in the May where it says, this person will be on the purview of the DPW. To me, it's, what we have is, his title is custodian under the union guidelines, whatever, but it's really facilities maintenance is what you're talking about, I think, Carrie, and you want somebody that could do other things besides vacuum and dump trash or
Right.
dust, so.
It's a title, but,
Well,
that's all under DPW
But
roof.
that's the title that we're paying them under, but to me, the position is under facilities maintenance, which is what the DPW, we don't really have that department per se,
Yeah.
but that's part of the, responsibility that DPW takes on, so. So to me, as long as the person, to me, should be under your direct supervision and, or whoever you assign them to in your department, but that should be part of the facilities maintenance and care.
Absolutely, and the number one goal is, the work schedule will be, put together to make sure that the buildings and the facilities stay clean. Specifically, this building, DPW, and fire, and police department.
I agree with Sam that there's gonna be certain things that can't happen maybe between 8 and 5 or whatever, so that person's gonna have to be somewhat flexible, and I guess also the supervision of that person in those off hours will have to be directed and maintained by somebody as well. And that's why I'm saying, to me, it should be under the purview, it should be, this is one of your reports, and, it's part of the responsibility of the facilities maintenance, not just standard custodial actions or whatever.
Treasurer Brown?
Just a quick comment. The other thing long-term is that our buildings are going to last longer and stay in better condition, having someone who's committed to making those things happen. And so there'll be a financial benefit down the road with having to replace carpet not as often, and, just taking better care of things, they last longer. Everyone knows that, so.
I think there's gonna be a big difference for the better.
Well, one thing I can tell you from my business is that the person that's cleaning knows all the things that are broken and damaged. So that's,
Mhm.
you know, there is a benefit to that
Absolutely.
set of eyes, that if you're in every inch of a building and you control that person and you teach that person to identify problems, not just, you know, being a daze with their earplugs in, walking around vacuuming, there's a big, that itself has a value to understanding the building, knowing that this blind's broken, that window needs servicing. If you establish some sort of protocol for them to follow while they're cleaning, that also would, like Ron said, with, you know, facilities maintenance, that they're reporting back on their findings as they're cleaning, you can turn the position into a much more valuable position than just a custodian position.
You got your record keeping that you use now when you go out and do maintenance or repairs. I
That'd be
mean, that
part of
person
City Works,
could be done
work
that,
orders,
so.
that's the whole
Right.
goal of accountability. Plus, you know, when somebody's here full-time, the employees are pretty good people keeping everybody in check on things. They let you know when something's not right, which is good, which is really a good thing. So we have, you know, accountability. We can address it right away instead of waiting 2 days later and then, oh, I forgot to do it.
Well, I think if the person was working for the DPW department and it's under the facilities maintenance or whatever, it's like, it's a more rewarding job than just being the custodian. The guy's just vacuuming and cleaning and stuff like that too. He's got other responsibilities
Thanks, Ron.
as well, so. I guess, to me, the custodian part, and that's part of why, to me, contract out. One is the off hours, I think is one of the reasons why we contracted out. And two, the people that were steady Eddies years ago left us, so that's why we had to try and find somebody different, so.
It's a great point. That's a good point.
Okay, I need a motion for,
I'll move to approve the hiring of a custodial employee to provide in-house services for the 3 township properties mentioned above, and approve the 2023 budget amendment 16 as presented.
second? Second. Trustee Nalamato make a motion and Treasurer Brown seconded. Simple majority. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Thank you.
Good luck with that,
Good luck with it.
Good luck with what?
hiring that person. So.
Okay.
We were just talking about all the other positions that we couldn't find anybody. One more.
What,
We're looking
find
for somebody.
another guy? I know, it's like,
Well,
everybody's hiring.
well, that's good. Independence Township is good. Job creation. All right. Communications, we don't have a closed session or by a session, none. Communication and future agenda items, reports. Number 1, minutes, Election Commission, October 20, 2022. Number 2, minutes, March Board of Reviews, March 2023. 3, minutes, Downtown Development Authority Board, February 2023.
Okay, you?
Board members and
Yeah,
comments?
that's you, this one's mine.
No?
Just want to wish everyone a happy Easter.
Thank you. That's very nice. Thank you.
No Easter
Right.
candy? What the heck?
I need
I
a
know.
motion for adjourn.
When it goes on sale.
I'll move to adjourn.
I'll second.
Support.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Good meeting.
You had to rip on my.